So to conduct our analysis, I'm going to choose two very similarly priced cryptocurrencies, Dogecoin and Dragon Chain, which are both very similar, but they have completely different use cases and completely different tokenomics. And I'm going to go through that process now of ascertaining why I would invest in one over the other and what I'd be looking for in terms of making a return. Okay, so let's look at Dogecoin first. Okay, so it's 22 cents and it's currently ranked 7th in the world, the 7th largest cryptocurrency by market capitalization in the world, with a market cap of 29 billion pounds. Okay, the circulating supply is 129 billion tokens, and it's an infinite supply, so there's no cap on this cryptocurrency. So right from the get-go, I'm immediately skeptical about this, okay, because there's no hard cap and there's not even a mention of a hard cap on any of these tokens. So let's look at the rise over the past couple of weeks. We've got an all-time high of 30 cents, so we're almost near the all-time high. So it's a little bit limited in that scope. Obviously, all-time highs can be exceeded, but it is a little bit limited, and an all-time low, as per usual with most cryptocurrencies, of a very small amount. Let's look at the last 90 days and see where we are. Okay, so we are phenomenally high up here. Okay, there's no growth. There's no period of time before now where the market has exceeded this price. There's no previous technical data that I can look at to ascertain if there's any scope for this climbing higher. Okay, so from a tokenomics perspective, poor. Okay, let's now look at Dragon Chain and look at the tokenomics of that. Okay, we've got 360 million tokens, 368 million tokens out of a total supply of 433. That's a nice, comfortable level of supply. Okay, we're almost completing the entire supply in circulation. We've got a market cap of 83 million pounds. That's modest. Okay, that's not the smallest project in the world, but it's not the largest by any means either. And a healthy trading volume as well. A 24-hour low and high that's indicating there's some volatility going on, and obviously the current price is 22.5 cents. Ranked 358th, so quite far away from the top 100 at the moment. Okay, but that might just be indicative of the price. Let's scroll down and have a look at the charts. Okay, so let's look at the last 90 days like we did previously. Okay, so a nice steady incline. Okay, looking like it's a healthy incline. Okay, all-time high £4. Okay, so we're a long way away from the all-time high at the moment. In actual fact, we've got 95% of the way to go, and obviously a low, very low down here. Okay, let's look at the maximum time frame. Okay, so we're nowhere near moving in any direction towards topping out of this on a long-term basis. Okay, now naturally the fundamentals could have changed or something could have gone on, which means that we'll never ascertain these high levels again, but at the moment it does look very, very promising that we have a lot of potential in this particular price. Not only are there more tokens available now than there probably were when this peaked last time, but because the project has survived this length of time with very little movement, there's a higher probability that it's going to result in higher amounts of price action than even this. Okay, when projects tend to exceed their all-time high, they tend to actually do double or triple even what their previous all-time high was. Okay, so there's a lot of potential here from a tokenomics perspective. Now the next thing you can examine is the white paper. Okay, and to do this you can either look on the website itself. Usually there's a link to the white paper on the actual homepage. So if we went to Dragon Chain, okay, you can actually see there's some links here. They don't actually have the white paper on here, okay, you actually have to dig down and look for it, but there's a lot of supplementary information on here, a lot of links and some videos even to watch, and a link to a YouTube channel that adds credibility to the project. With Dogecoin, there's an explanation about what Dogecoin is, but it doesn't have a white paper either that I could link to on its main page. Again, YouTube channel, so you can actually have a look at the YouTube channel around it, and it does have an explanation as to what Dogecoin actually is, and it also goes into some detail about how to set up a wallet and actually how to enable your wallet and actually use it. So it's very user friendly. Okay, so it's actually really good at telling people what to do in order to own Dogecoin. And actually, I've just noticed, I didn't notice this before, but they're actually supporting Folding at Home, which is a crypto computing project that I have supported for the last decade. I wasn't aware of this, and this is just becoming apparent now. The World Community Grid and BOINC, BOINC, this is a little bit of a diversion, but I'm hoping you'll enjoy it, is actually behind this, and this is a distributed computing network that does charitable computing, okay? And my level of likability, I suppose, not that I'd invested in it, but my level of likability has just increased because Dogecoin are appearing to support this altruistic computing environments. Okay, so yeah, I wouldn't invest, but I certainly admire the ethos behind Dogecoin at the moment. Okay, so let's just have a look. One Dogecoin equals one Dogecoin, so that's a comical reference for anyone. And obviously the whole intent behind this is lightheartedness. Okay, there's not really much seriousness going on, and I'm not really keen about applying a light-hearted approach to my investments. Okay, but otherwise, a very good front-facing website, a little light on information, but that's the whole point of Dogecoin, is to introduce people without too much heavy hitting information. Obviously there's links up here to the ecosystem behind it. Okay, so I had to do some digging, and I used the white paper database, and I used whitepaper.io to research and find these associated white papers. Okay, so Dragon Chain white paper and the Dodge white paper, interestingly, is just a Reddit page, so another red flag there, basically. I wasn't able to actually find a genuine Dodge paper. This is the link. Okay, so it's written 3 years ago, so it's quite old, as most white papers are, but also it's written after Dogecoin existed, so it's kind of an a priori situation where they have created the white paper after the tokens had actually existed, which is another red flag, because usually with white papers it's a case of write the white paper, create the token. That's how most cryptocurrencies are generated, or at least in situ, so Bitcoin and the white paper generated at the same time, basically. Very rarely does a crypto project exist and then a white paper is written for it. Now, naturally, white papers can change and there can be updates, but if it's a brand new white paper for a crypto project that already exists, then that's another red flag, effectively. So let's now look at Dragon Chain white paper. Okay, so the Dragon Chain white paper, the first thing you notice is it's 15 pages long, and it goes into a lot of detail about what Dragon Chain is, how it works. If you're unfamiliar with cryptocurrency, your eyes start to glaze over because they start talking about different levels of nodes and business verification, etc., different types of networks, and just generally the whole thing is sophisticated and complicated and reassuringly well thought through. Okay, so that's another thing. Obviously you can read the white paper in detail and actually examine it and make sure that it is genuine. Okay, there are white papers out there that have the same level of kind of sophistication as this but are actually scams. This is OneCoin. Okay, so this is the token OneCoin, which was a Ponzi scheme, a $4 billion Ponzi scheme, and it had a nice long white paper that went into a lot of detail about how the rewards were going to work, and how different payments were going to be made and how different release schedules were going to be, and even had risk disclaimers and all sorts. And there's a 35-page white paper here. Okay, so it is very detailed. Okay, but the red herring here was that it was only available on one exchange. It wasn't available on CoinMarketCap or CoinGecko. Okay, it wasn't available on Binance, on KuCoin, on Huobi, on any major cryptocurrency exchange. Okay, and you couldn't look at it on a blockchain. Okay, it just wasn't available on blockchain. It wasn't transparent. So they had transparency in their white paper. They said they were transparent, but they weren't. Okay. So you could buy blocks of OneCoin by exchanging euros and just doing a genuine payment through their centralized exchange. So it was incredibly centralized. And that's how this Ponzi scheme was able to collect $4 billion over the course of 4 years, because people believed this type of white paper because it looked legitimate, but they were missing certain things. Okay, so they were missing kind of the owner kept themselves relatively in the dark, okay, and relatively obscure. Then there was only available to exchange it through one centralized exchange. Most cryptocurrency exchanges, or actually in fact all cryptocurrency exchanges, saw through this scam and completely avoided OneCoin. Okay, so that's another thing. You should have at least several exchanges, if not DeFi exchanges, that can actually validate your token as being genuine. Okay. Then there was the lack of actually credibility around the cryptocurrency. There's no mention here of a blockchain that supports the cryptocurrency other than the specific word blockchain. Is it a Ethereum blockchain? Is it a Dragon Chain blockchain? Is it energy blockchain? There's no mention of that whatsoever. So it's using all of the lingo, but in a kind of jargon-based way, and goes into great lengths about the KYC procedures and the investor vetting and that kind of thing to make you think or make you believe that they are a legitimate entity when they're actually not. Okay, so it's all focusing on jargon, and there's no use case either. Okay, what does OneCoin actually do apart from provide liquidity or provide an exchange of value? There's plenty of cryptocurrencies that will do that. Okay, in actual fact, that's the basic use case for most cryptocurrencies. And apart from that, it doesn't seem to have any actual real term use, which is another red flag as well. So one very good way of identifying a potential crypto scam is to look at the team or persons behind each crypto project. Now, obviously, for Bitcoin, this is a little bit challenging since Satoshi Nakamoto deliberately kept their identity private. However, in hindsight, we can actually see that actually has helped Bitcoin to succeed, because if there was one person who controlled effectively Bitcoin, then it wouldn't have been decentralized and couldn't operate. Okay, so it was necessary and sufficient for Satoshi Nakamoto to keep her identity anonymous. With more recent projects and everything that's come afterwards, obviously Ethereum with Vitalik Buterin, there's no need to have that anonymity, basically. Okay, and obviously OneCoin, they kept their founder effectively relatively obscure and difficult to find. In actual fact, she was imprisoned for up to 90 years for the Ponzi scheme, and it took quite a lot of investigative work by the FBI to kind of find her and bring her to justice effectively. Okay, now the founder behind Dogecoin is in a completely different situation because he's still very much around, but he doesn't own a single Dogecoin. Okay, he sold it for a Honda Civic back in 2015. Okay, so he's baffled by the level of adoption and level of enthusiasm and price action around this joke cryptocurrency, which he started as a joke. Okay, so another reason why investors should be probably not really looking at Dogecoin for anything other than a quick pump or dump situation. Now, I'm not dismissing that isn't an investment opportunity. It's just not particularly one that I'm attracted to. Naturally, if you fancy taking your chances and trying to detect which pump is coming when and which dump is coming when, then obviously that's something that you can do if you're more comfortable with it. I'm not discounting the fact that some people will make money with Dogecoin. It's just something that doesn't enthuse me because it doesn't have a use case, its owner isn't interested in developing it, and it's basically just a pure speculative token. The founder of Dragon Chain, on the other hand, is a gentleman called Joe Roats, who started at Walt Disney, the Walt Disney Company, and actually Dragon Chain was a project that started underneath the Walt Disney brand and has since gone open source in much the same way that Bitcoin has always been open source. It wasn't developed as part of a company or through Satoshi Nakamoto. It was an open source project, and in order to be important, in order to do its work, it's more important for a cryptocurrency at the moment to be open source and decentralized in that way. Okay, and he's very public. He's on YouTube. You can send him emails and ask him questions, etc. And yeah, there's a kind of open door policy, or a more open door policy, I suppose, than with most other cryptocurrencies. And you'll also find other cryptocurrencies like Ethereum, like Syscoin, that kind of thing. Genuine crypto projects will have genuine people behind them, and you'll be able to reach out to them if you wish and if you feel you need to. And obviously many crypto projects maintain Discord channels exactly for this kind of purpose, where they have a community that surrounds the cryptocurrency, which you can ask questions and which supports the long-term development of the token. So I hope that's thrown some light on why I wouldn't invest in Dogecoin, and why I will and am investing in Dragon Chain for those reasons. The tokenomics, the stories behind it, the white papers, the research, the use case, they all build a narrative that suggests probabilistically that Dragon Chain is more likely to make me money than Dogecoin will. In actual fact, I think Dogecoin in 6-12 months' time will no longer be anywhere near this price. I could see this price going down by a factor of 10 over the course of the next 12 months or so, but we'll have to wait and see on that. Whereas I can see this price increasing comfortably by a factor of 10 over the next 10, 12, 24 months, basically. Okay.